Glad to see you side by side. Want to get right into the race, and Mary, start with you about the Republican race. Who would you say is the front runner or the front runners for the presidential nomination now?
Well, is that a trick question?
No,
obviously,
straightforward.
Trump is the front runner, but we have events in front of us. Cruz probably going to win Iowa. The contest right now is for who comes in second in Iowa and New Hampshire, and we'll test our organizations. Everybody's going to test their organizations,
So
but as you just noted, you all been wrong the whole year.
Mary, what's the universe of people who can be nominated at this point?
Well, I would say the conventional wisdom is that Trump is too hot and Cruz is too cold and Rubio is Goldilocks. But again, conventional wisdom's been crazy. I'm not writing Jeb off yet. I'm not writing Christie off yet. We're just going to let this thing unfold.
James, you've been a Rubio man for much of this cycle. Is he in your mind the front runner?
Well, you know, actually, Cruz, I thought, said about a year ago on Georgia show that I thought he was the most talented Republican politician I've seen in a while. I mean, Rubio just seemed to everybody like he was going to do it, but Rubio is like Brazil. You know what they say of Brazil? It's the nation of the future, and it always will be. And that looks to me a lot like Rubio is. He's the candidate of the future, and he always will be. He's got to hurry up and get in the present here pretty soon.
James, we just showed, as you guys noted, a bunch of our fellow pundits getting it wrong last year. But let me just ask you this: if you had to stipulate a theory right now as to what would bring down Trump, what would it be?
Well, you know, it's going to be a surprise, whatever it is, because everything but in this cycle so far has been a surprise. I expect it. We keep getting surprised. I don't know. Look, I was in Mississippi. I have a place on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And I drove by the Trump rally in Biloxi, and it was, you know, late morning, early afternoon, and there were a gazillion people out there. There were 15,000 people in the arena, maybe another 5,000. What? Those 20,000 people going to vote? Are they going to do something? I mean, and not just curiosity seekers. So I think the assumption is going to be that he's going to come down, but so far he won't. Now, a lot of people say if he loses Iowa, which he probably will that you know, pierce his cloak of invincibility or something? I don't know, but he's got his support is pretty doggone deep. You got to admit that.
Mary, you're a great student of both Greek mythology and politicians' weaknesses. So, what is, if there is a Achilles heel to Donald Trump, what is it?
He doesn't have one. I mean, he could take himself out, or what surprises me are two things of the cycle. Mm-hmm. How everybody was surprised by him. It's not like mainstream conservatives have not been voicing their preference loudly. They're not the silent majority. They're the screaming majority since 2009. We have more seats than we had since the Civil War. That it manifested in Trump is not that's a manifestation, unexpected, but not a surprise that sentiment manifested. My second surprise is that none of these other candidates of the 17 or however many are left, only one really truly understood this Trump phenomenon, and that was Cruz. So I think if there's an Achilles heel, it's somebody who gets Trump. And I'll tell you who's not going to get him is Bill Clinton. Yeah, the guy is catnip for the press, but he's also catnip for people like Bill Clinton. And you watch what happens to his response mode.
Let me put it this way about this cycle. It's such an odd cycle that a man that bankrupted 4 companies is attacking a man that balanced 4 federal budgets.
Oh, nice.
And so, you know, that's about what this is. I mean, you know, Bill Clinton, this country owes Bill Clinton a tremendous debt of gratitude, and I think most Americans know that. They know he's a president that balanced budgets, and they know Trump is a man that bankrupt companies. And
Mary, can you just clarify?
Check it out, PolitiFact.
Mary, can you just clarify what you were saying about Trump and Bill Clinton? I didn't quite get your point.
Yeah.
Because, all right, so we're kicking off the new year with the H-bomb is going to put out her husband, right? So no one has been able to withstand Trump's barbs or Trump taking them on, and everyone thinks they're strong enough to combat him. The only guy who didn't take the bait was Ted Cruz.
But you're saying if Bill Clinton takes Trump on, he'll lose? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that it's going to be one more great, funny stage thing to watch because no one can resist him. So she's putting out her big secret weapon, and Trump's going to, he's done with everybody else.
Let's go through the list of people that took on Bill Clinton. Newt Gingrich, Bob Livingston, Denny Hassett, Henry Hyde. You know what they all have in common? Didn't do too well. But again, let me say this.
Have us back
Trump,
after he takes them on.
bankrupted 4 companies, taking on the most fiscally responsible president ever.
James, let me ask you about in the Democratic side. What do you think the odds are? You got casinos in New Orleans. What are the odds that Bernie Sanders wins both Iowa and New Hampshire?
Not impossible. I mean, you know, he's putting 100 other people in there.
Put some numbers down on it. Put some numbers down on it. What are the odds he wins them both?
43.258%.
That high, or are you kidding around? I know you're kidding with the decimal point.
I mean, I think there's a chance. I don't think it's a 50% chance, but you know, the states that sort of made for him, he's got a lot of people in there. It's been unpredictable. And I'll tell you one thing. I'll say this. You know, Hillary and her campaign, they take nothing for granted. They've run a really good campaign, and they're going to be in there plugging away, but Bernie's going to be in there plugging away too.
Yes, but she is as to this campaign as he said about George H.W. Bush in '92. Last year's calendar. She could dress up like Catwoman and start herself on fire, and she'd still be a boring candidate. So you guys, that will surprise you too, that there's still a shot that something else can happen in the Democratic field.
Well, she might be boring, but she didn't bankrupt any companies.
Okay, James, let me ask you this question, going back to the earlier topic when we were talking about Trump and Bill Clinton, okay? Let me ask you this question to start. In 2008, when Hillary Clinton ran for the Democratic nomination and barely lost to Barack Obama, was Bill Clinton a net liability or a net asset to his wife?
You know, I think you could look at it one of two ways. I think this time he's going to be a net liability. I think if there's anything, he's more popular. I think he's sort of empty. He's going to be a good surrogate. But it's her campaign. You got to understand that. He is a surrogate. He's the best surrogate there is. He's going to draw a lot of big crowds.
James, you said net liability, but you meant net asset, I assume, Dr. Freud, right?
Is that what I said?
You did.
No, you meant
net asset.
He told the truth. He told the truth.
Think it doesn't. You know, 2008 was one cycle. She came very, very close. She obviously is going to win in 2016. But, you know, it's never easy in politics. It is not going to be easy for anybody in 2016.
But you don't want America Rising to use that clip or the RNC of you saying he's going to be a net liability, right? You meant net asset.
I didn't mean
But answer John's question. 2008, was he a net asset or a net liability in 2008?
I think it was mixed, but more on the asset side.
Mary, let me ask you this question, okay? I thought, James, that was a semi-honest answer from James just now.
No, it was Freudian.
You know,
sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Right. You think that he will be a liability to her in this campaign? That sounds like what you're saying. Is that right?
Do I think that?
No, Mary.
Oh.
No, yes, for all the reasons. It's her campaign. For the things that, what I just said, he can't get over, not run. He will not be able to resist Trump, and Trump's going to attack him, and it also is going to be the stage for undermining Hillary's base of support, which is women.
Right.
And she made a very chutzpah mistake by saying she brought this on herself. We all knew she was going to play the woman card. No one anticipated she'd play the abused woman card, and that just sets it up. That just tees it up for Trump.
Can I ask a question? What is it about Bill Clinton's presidency that most gets to Republicans? The peace or the prosperity? Because one of them really kind of ticks them off, and I can't figure out which one it is.
All right,
the fact that we were making a lot of money and no one was getting killed?
Mary's going to ponder that original line that she's never heard before.